Dragon's Dogma 2 was finally released a few days ago, and everyone here at Realm Space Gaming has been playing non-stop. So going into Dragon's Dogma 2 as a new player, I was instantly overwhelmed. So, in this beginner's guide, we want to go through a few basics with a couple of tips to help anyone who may be feeling slightly overwhelmed with the size of the game and some of the mechanics. Just before we jump into this beginner's guide, I will be covering the Dragon's Plague, which has been going around the internet a lot at the moment, purely because it's ruining some people's saves. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video to see how to combat Dragon's Plague and how to spot it in the first place. Right, let's get into it. So let's kick this video straight off with the first part of the game that you come across, which is, as you can imagine in an RPG, the character creator. So the first thing I want to note about the character creator is the size. When it comes to this game, size does matter. I know in a lot of games it doesn't, but in this one it does. So when it does come to size, the smaller and shorter you are, you will regain stamina a lot faster. While the bigger you are, as you can imagine, you regain stamina a lot slower. But being big does have its perks. So the bigger you are, the more you will be able to carry in terms of encumbrance, which is always a grand thing in games like this, especially when you go across looting everything that you see. So if you are a smaller character, just be mindful that you may not be able to carry as much as a bigger character. Although I will be covering different ways to get around this in the video. Now with any RPG, as you can imagine, once you've created your character, sometimes you're not overly happy with the final design once you get into the game. But have no fear, this is no problem at all. So if you want to change your character's appearance, this can be changed later on in the game, no problems at all. All you will need is the Book of Metamorphosis, but don't worry too much, you can buy this for 500 Rift Crystals at the guild vendor. Now once you have the Book of Metamorphosis, just take it to any barbershop that you find and you can change most things about your character, even the height. Now that you have your character sorted, you're going to want a team before you head out of the first town that you come across. Trust me, it can be absolutely savage out there in the real world. So early on in the game, you will make your main pawn. This will be your sidekick throughout your adventure. Now your main pawn will level up with you. So as you level up, your pawn will level up as well. But this only applies to your main pawn. So if you pick up other pawns throughout your playthrough, their level will stay the same as when you hired them. So as their levels don't go up with you, you're going to want to cycle out your pawns. This means if your pawn is not keeping up with your levels, you will need to get rid of them and get a new one. However, just be warned, when buying new pawns, these will cost RC. So, you've got your team together. What's now? Well, it's time to go out adventuring. But there are a few things you need to learn about going out adventuring in Dragon's Dogma 2. First things first when going out adventuring is to be prepared. Now this will come in a variety of different ways. The first one is to stock up on food items and anything else like that you will need. Another tip would be to bring dry food rather than anything else, as this will last a lot longer on your journeys, because you need to remember that these journeys can sometimes last up to 30 to 40 minutes once you're outside. Now another part of being prepared is making sure you're not bringing along anything that you don't need. So if you've got ore in your inventory or anything like that, you're not going to need that when you're adventuring outside. So go to the inn and store it all. Anything that you're not going to use, such as the ore, just get it into the storage. Because not only will that be taking up space for valuable items, it also means you won't be able to loot as much once you're out in the field. So, now that you're prepared, you're stocked up, you've got rid of all your ore, anything that's going to bring you down, let's go on to travelling. So travelling wise, you're going to be doing most of this on foot, running around and around. However, there are a few different types of transportation modes. So one of these transportation modes, I actually quite like this mode of transportation, but I know a lot of people find it a bit risky, and it is risky. So the ox cart, so you can use the ox cart to travel, and you can choose to sleep on the ox cart. So you get on the ox cart, you pay a bit of money, and you head over to a different location. But there is the option to sleep on the ox cart, which means obviously once you sleep, surely you'll just all of a sudden end up in that location. Well, trust me, that isn't the case. So if you're asleep on the ox cart, you can come across random encounters. So these random encounters will be when a monster or monsters just randomly come and attack your ox cart. So as you can imagine, this wakes you up, you jump out of your ox cart and you start fighting whatever creature or creatures it is. Now that's all well and good, but what happens if the ox cart gets destroyed? Well, that's it, you're stuck. So the ox cart's destroyed, you've paid a bit of money, you've probably got about halfway to your destination, and now you're stuck at square one on your feet. So yes, it might be a quicker mode of travel, but if that ox cart breaks, you're back on your feet, walking to your next location. And you might not be prepared because you thought, well, the ox cart, I'll just get there instantly. No, that's not the case. So, ox cart is great and the encounters are fun, but do this at your own risk. The other way to travel around is using the port crystals. Now, these are scattered around the world. However, you will need a ferry stone to use these. Now, personally, I don't think this is great because ferry stones are very expensive and the vendors don't have many of them in stock at any one time. Now, if you are traveling on your feet, I'd probably recommend not going out at night time. So the night time, not only does it have the whole spookiness of nighttime, but you will also encounter different monsters than what you do in the day. So there are ways to help this. Obviously, stay on the paths. So you'll have a certain path. Try not to branch off. Obviously, you'll still encounter different enemies while on this path, but it's going to be a lot less frequent, let's say. And then the other thing is to take away from the spookiness a bit is to use your oil lantern. So you'll have your oil lantern from the start of the game. It also tells you how to use it at the start of the game, so I don't really need to go over how to use it in this video. This will just take some of the darkness out of it, and then you'll probably be able to see the monsters sneaking up on you and attempting to kill you, really. And then the other thing about traveling around the world is that you will find water. Now, you might think, let's test the swimming mechanics out in this game. Don't bother, because if you touch that water, you will die. There is no ifs, and buts about it. That's it, game over. So stay away from the water and stay away from the night time. And then while traveling around, obviously while you're looting, make sure you look at the trees. You will find some golden trove beetles. Now these golden trove beetles will increase your carry weight for you and your pawn. So these can become pretty valuable. Now another thing I want to talk about regarding the adventuring and pawns is Dragon Plague. You've probably heard of this online somewhere, as many people aren't very happy at the moment. Now you might be wondering why this is, and well, the fact is it can wipe out like 90% of the village or city that you're in. And this has been ruining people's saves and experiences. But I don't want you to worry too much because I'm going to explain what to look out for and what to do if you notice the following signs. So what I need you to do is check your pawn's eyes. So check their eyes. If they're infected, they will be glowing red every 4 seconds or so. They will also start to disobey commands and they won't listen to you as often. Also, make sure you check the eyes of any pawns that you summon, as you can summon these already infected. But again, don't worry too much because you can combat this. So to get rid of this, unfortunately, you're going to need to pick the pawn up and launch them into the water, killing them. Now, if you do miss the fact that your pawn is riddled with Dragon's Plague, and then you go to sleep at an inn, they will turn into a dragon, killing 90% of the village or city that you're in. So as you can imagine, that's vendors gone, pretty much most people gone. Now, I'm going to do a little quick fire section in this video now, which means I can get some of this information to you a lot quicker and then you can get back to gaming. So, you might remember I mentioned RC to hire pawns earlier in the video. Make note that some vendors will only trade in RC instead of regular money. If you're starting to become over encumbered, then make sure to use your pawns. Give them some of your items, allowing you to loot even more. With some adventures going from place to place taking around 30 to 40 minutes, I recommend you take breaks and don't rush Dragon's Dogma. There is a lot happening, so just slow down and enjoy it. Sometimes picking what class you want to play in an RPG is the hardest part, but you watch a video of another class and you think that looks loads more fun than my current class. If this is you, then have no fear. As in Dragon's Dogma 2, you can change your vocation by going to the vocation guild found in some cities. And the best part is, it's entirely free. When in combat with the larger enemies Dragon's Dogma 2 has to offer, climb onto them. That's right, you heard me. Even if you're a ranged vocation, get onto them as soon as possible, as you will miss most of their attacks. Now, you'll miss most of their attacks because you're on their back, and they can't get you. Until you've been flung off, of course, but while you're on the large monster, you can just go to town damaging them as much as you like. And that wraps up our beginner's guide to Dragon's Dogma 2. Now, I'm sure I've missed a few things out, or maybe even got a couple of things wrong. If so, get yourself down in the comment section below and call me out. Or, if you have any useful tips for beginners, get yourself down in the comment section as well. Make sure to check out all our social media platforms and come and join our Discord where we're creating a community of gamers. This has been Dan from Realm Space Gaming, hoping you have a great day.